Alright, what is up, people? Apparently I'm live, I'm gonna trust that. So yeah, a lot of energy in the last run, and I've apparently got to follow that up, so nice task. It was an entertaining run though, and I enjoyed it. But yeah, I'm Drakodan, this is gonna be Sparkster. If I'm right, I think there's already been 2 runs of this game in the marathon so far. And now they're bringing it back for a 3rd one, because it's just that good. Believe me, this game is just that good. And I mean, they're saving the best runner for last, if you know what I mean. So, alright. I'm just about ready to go, and I'm going to be doing the normal difficulty. I think it's the other difficulties that have been played so far, so that kind of makes sense. But this is going to be normal, with normal 8 stages. And, ooh, I get to control my own timer as well. It's all special. Alright, so I'm going to get to the title screen. And assuming they're all ready, I am going to start in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so yeah, Sparkster. If you are familiar with, well, this marathon, again, you've probably already seen 2 runs of this, and if not, then if you're familiar with the Rocket Knight games, Rocket Knight Adventures on the Genesis, you know, then this is the same kind of deal, because it's a game of the same series. So, same basic controls, we rocket boost, but what is a unique control to this game is the rolling attack, which I'm going to be using a lot. It's a very flexible attack, both for offense and defense, and mobility. It, does absolutely everything. So I'm going to take a little minute to talk about how we have our different forms of attack in this game. So, you can swing your sword around, and the sword shoots a projectile. The projectile fired out from the sword deals 3 damage per hit. Die, please. Alright, there we go. The physical sword strike itself deals 4 damage per hit. The rolling attack, that I'm using a lot already, deals 5 damage per hit, and a rocket boost deals 6 damage per hit. So with a lot of the fights in this game, I've, mathed and measured stuff out so that bosses are going to take a specific number of hits by following a specific attack order, like that sort of thing. And a lot of fights in this game are going to be damage races. Coming up to the first boss here, this is not one of the damage races. This is supposed to be a relatively safe boss, where you just stand against his body, which has no damaging hitbox. You wait for the visor to open up, and you just release boosts straight up when his weak point appears. You do this a few times, and you beat the boss. And the laser can probably hit you a couple of times, but as long as you have, pretty much any health, you should be able to take care of it without too much trouble. And speaking of health, that is a relevant factor to this run, not just in damage racing bosses, but also with trying to optimize these stage clear screens. You'll see that you get this stage clear bonus, that's always a static 10,000, but you then get this life bonus. You get a higher life bonus for having more health remaining, and that scrolls up at a static rate. So yeah, you need to be finishing stages with as little health as possible if you want to squeeze those extra seconds. So the riskier you play, the bigger the payoff is. And there are some stages where we are probably going to end with very little health. This is probably not going to be one of them. This is the Steelworks. And pretty technical stage. We have a very detailed route of where to boost, where to roll, etc. And generally speaking, you should always have a good time with the cycles in this stage. I don't think they're global. I think they are proximity, so as long as you are progressing at a reasonable pace, or at a normal pace, it should pretty much always work the same. So, we'll do that. Go down here. Now, this stage does have some instant death hazards, such as those rollers, so you definitely don't want to get trapped in anything like that. This game doesn't have a lot of checkpoints. You typically have the start of a stage, the midpoint of a stage, and then, oh, I went really early there, and just before a boss. But this stage actually doesn't have a boss checkpoint, so if you die at any point, including during this boss fight, you go back to midway through the stage. So this is a pretty punishing stage to take a death on. Thankfully, even though health is getting pretty low, boss is about to die. There we go. And now the boss destruction is going to take quite a while. And at this point, I'm effectively going to be AFK for over a full minute here, because we're going to go into stage 3, which is an auto-scroller, and that is going to take over a minute, as I say. And when I say an auto-scroller, I mean it's an auto-scroller, and it behooves the player to make it as auto-scroller as possible. The more inputs you do, the slower you're going to go in the long run. That's theoretically how it works, because you can't do anything to speed this section up. You can, in fact, only cause lag by doing too much stuff. Like, if you're going around destroying enemies, all you're really going to do is cause additional lag frames, so you're going to go a bit slower. And thankfully, you can get through this section just fine by doing absolutely nothing. 0 inputs. You'll take some damage, but after the first mini-boss of the stage, you'll get health pickups, which will put you right back to full health, so it's totally fine. So, yeah, there's absolutely nothing going on in this section. Good music though, like this game's got a good soundtrack. I definitely recommend checking out, you know, not only this game, but again the series. So the series is Rocket Adventures on the Genesis, that was the original title. Then you've got this game, Sparkster SNES. That's technically a spin-off title, because there is also a Sparkster on the Genesis, which is called Sparkster Rocket Adventures 2. And then this is just Sparkster, this is treated as a spin-off game. And then this series died completely, and then they rebooted it in like 2010 with a Xbox 360 title, which was also on PS4 and PC, which isn't nearly as good of a speed game as the rest of the games in the series. Too much auto-scroller, the boss fights aren't very fun, it's not very fast-paced, but I mean, it's an alright game in itself, I just don't really rate it as a speed game. So, you've got a forking path here, which used to go to the right instead of going down, because it's faster, you get to the mini-boss straight away. I'm going to use a few rocket boosts on the mini-boss, and then I'm going to try and get the last hit on the mini-boss, using just a regular attack, or no, I miscounted the hits. It doesn't really matter though, because it's just a frame saver you're potentially going for there. Once the boss is one hit from death, it's pretty much a case of his health is such that any hit is going to finish him off, so you may as well use any attack that you can get straight out of his iframes, rather than waiting a few extra frames for your rocket boost to charge up. So there's the health. Now we're going to go down this section here. There's just boosting from bird to bird after you get dropped off on each one. Do I swag here? Yeah, it's dangerous and it's risky and it's a marathon, so of course I'm going to swag. Doesn't save any time either, so yeah, this is the best time to swag. That you can just... yeah. Like, if you get that wrong, if you hit a lag frame or something, if your rolling attack doesn't go off or you don't do a boost to recover in time, that fully kills you. And then you lose a lot of time for doing that. Like I say, that doesn't save any time, it's just pure risk. So, obviously I went for it. So, I've mentioned about how a lot of bosses in this game are damage boost heavy, but you haven't really seen much of that yet. So, let's see what we can do with this boss here. Now, something else you need to understand about this game is that the rolling attack is... because of the frequency of how much you can use the rolling attack, even though it deals less damage per hit than the rocket boost, the fact that you can spam it over and over again, it's much higher DPS. Like, if you just want to do as much damage as you can, as quickly as possible, the rolling attack is the way to go. The issue is, if you use the rolling attack too many times in quick succession, you will trigger what I call the helpless state, where Sparkster just becomes exhausted and helpless for about 3 seconds. And that typically happens when you use 6 rolling attacks in a row. There are ways to avoid that, such as not rolling attacking for a bit. That decreases the quote-unquote exhaustion meter gradually. The easiest way to mitigate it, though, is to take damage. If you take damage, it completely empties the exhaustion meter, and you can just keep rolling attacking. So when you're on a boss fight and you are just taking damage over and over, that basically gives you infinite rolling attacks you can use. Like, as long as you're in contact with the boss and you are taking damage as fast as possible, you can keep rolling attacking and never get exhausted. And most of the boss fights in this game follow the pattern of, if you and the boss are both taking damage as quick as possible, the boss is going to die before you, as long as you can maintain that damage output. So that's the strategy for a lot of the boss fights. Just keep attacking each other and hope they die first. I say hope they die first, it is generally safe as long as you execute it properly. There's probably some bosses where, if I've not entered them with the right amount of health, or if it's looking a little sketchy, I will employ some safety strats, but by and large this is like go big or go home strats. It's like, this is the fastest way to deal with the bosses, and it cuts down on some of the RNG variants that can be in the fights, so that's just what you do. You just kill them as fast as possible. That was a really bad first phase. And that was a really bad second phase as well, where you destroy the turrets. I've got enough health here to hopefully damage race this. I might have to go a little safe towards the end, but we'll see. So I'm charging up my rocket boost in between the rolling attacks because it is still the highest damage for a single hit. So since you can charge up the rocket boost and perform rolling attacks at the same time, I generally am using rolling attacks in the downtime between when I can use the rocket boosts, since that is still going to do more damage on the occasions where I can use a rocket boost. So, yeah, a seizure for doing it too fast is a good way to describe it. So, Golden Desert. I hate this stage. It's really short, which is a good thing, but it's possible to get trapped by doing the wrong thing here, and that may or may not have happened in the last marathon run I did, and I didn't actually know the way to get out of the situation I was in, and spent about 3 minutes trying to fix the mistake I made. But we just take the right path through that maze and get straight to the mini-boss of the stage. I told you this was a short stage. And then right after this mini-boss, we're going to do I mean, it's not a skip. That's the thing about this game. There are no, like, glitches, tricks, or anything like that. This game is really solidly coded. This is the closest we come to doing a skip, where I'm going to jump against the ceiling, diagonal boost upwards, and I can skip part of that pyramid puzzle there, where I'm supposed to, like, destroy both sides and make it descend. It's a lot faster to do what I just did, though. Damage boost, do a specific diagonal boost off the floor to ricochet, get to where I need to be. That spike ceiling kills you in one hit regardless of remaining HP, so don't do that. Oh, here's a boss fight. This is a unique boss fight where all of your damage sources are halved against this guy for reasons, I don't know why. So basically, the rocket boost only does 3 damage. And for anything that ends up being a decimal because of that, like the rolling attack is 5, so it becomes 2.5, that's rounded down. So, unfortunately, the rolling attack is comparatively very weak on this fight, which is why I alternate between using rocket boosts and rolling attacks. Like, there's other bosses where I'll just roll attack over and over if I can do it. But because the rocket boost is effectively dealing 50% additional damage on that fight, you do want to use the rocket boost as often as possible. That was a really good fight, by the way. That's a very RNG heavy fight where you can do a lot of things, including dig underground, which you can't avoid and wastes 5 seconds every time he does it. I played the piano to the stage theme there. I had to shut up to even hear what was going on there. So yeah, that was actually a pretty good boss fight. This is a... look, alright. I'm not going to lie, alright? This is a really good run in general. This is actually... I don't know how long it's been since I've played this game, but this is actually a really well-paced run right now. I'm not entirely sure what's going on. It's not going to be world record pace, but yeah. Also, for the extremely observant, just there on the drums, that's the only instance in the run where I'm going to intentionally initiate exhaustion. Also, I messed up there. That's a short frame window to get a good jump there. But the drums are the only place where you can really afford to take an exhaustion, or it being better to exhaust, because since you're on the drums, they immediately snap you out of the exhaustion state. So we just keep rolling to keep moving as fast as possible, and then the game just kicks you out of exhaustion anyway. So it's like, well, alright, that's fine. It's very possible to accidentally exhaust in like the last stage in a couple of places. Because all right there, it's like I maybe shouldn't talk because then things don't just happen. So now you know what it looks like. Yeah, now you know what happens when you exhaust, and it happened right on cue. I'm not only English, I'm from northeast England, but I quote unquote clean up my accent quite a lot when I know I'm being recorded because I've got quite a broad accent actually in real life. Alright, so definitely a damage race boss. Axel Gear, the Black Knight. And yeah, we just lock him in the corner. Again, roll attack, does a lot of damage, and that was, yeah, he did a really nasty initial hit, but then behaved quite nicely after that. The damage that Axel can cause is potentially the highest of any enemy in the game. Like, he can do some really nasty damage with his attacks. The kick attack only deals half a heart. That's really good. You want to see that. You want to get hit by the kick. His sword attacks deal a heart and a half. That's quite a bit of damage. And his flaming charge, which he pretty much opened with, that deals like 2 hearts of damage straight off the bat. And one thing that I haven't really mentioned about this game's mechanics yet is, as much as I'm rocket boosting around as much as possible, there is a... I don't think it's a glitch, but it's a pretty unfortunate consequence of how one of the mechanics in this game works. That when you take damage, you enter some iframes. That's pretty normal. You get iframes when you take damage in video games. But in this game, if you have iframes and then you perform a rocket boost, you no longer have the iframes when you come out of the rocket boost. So if you just are in a situation where you reflexively release a boost, but you've just taken damage and you are still inside like an active hitbox, you can basically take 2 heavy hits back to back. So in this case, it's like if you have the wrong attack pattern on Axel and you boost at the wrong time, end up getting caught into attacks, you can lose over half your health bar like instantly. Pretty much right off the bat, you'll lose half your health bar. So then it puts you in a really bad position for finishing the fight from there on out. Now stage 7 here, this is another... I'm seeing some people in the chat, like, they already know what's coming up, and yeah, this casually... Look, this is the thing, with this game, people casually really, really like this game. People love this game, but people really hate this boss. Like, I've seen many casual reviews of this game where people say, this is such a good game, but then there's this one boss fight, and it's terrible, and I hate this boss fight, and it spoils the game. And it's kind of true, to a certain extent. that this boss is a casual killer for sure. It's a speed killer as well. This boss will kill runs. It's going to be a rock'em sock'em robot duel in space where I'm just going to be dueling Axel's mech. And the thing about this boss fight is they look identical, and they actually are identical. Your mech has the exact same stats as Axel's, but you wouldn't really think it because for a lot of casual players, the way this fight goes is you just get annihilated very quickly. So there are some hidden mechanics to this upcoming fight which the game doesn't really bother to explain. Namely that you can use left and right punches, but the damage you deal isn't always static. There's like a base damage rate for your punches, but you can increase your damage by alternating your punches with the correct timing. Like if you do a left punch and then it's immediately followed up by a right punch, the right will deal increased damage. Whereas if you just keep spamming a jab over and over, like you keep just doing left, 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 that deals decreased damage. That was actually the old method of handling this boss because you could hopefully keep him pinned in the corner and wear down his arms. But it's really not the safest way to deal with this fight because it makes the fight take a lot longer. And there is quite a lot of RNG in this fight in terms of like what attack patterns he chooses to use, in the first phase at least. You really want to make this fight as fast as possible. And I mean, you know, it's faster to kill the boss faster. So that helps as well, it saves some time. Now I mentioned the phases because this guy basically has 3 different phases depending on his remaining HP. Until he gets to about 50% HP, he is completely random. He can choose whatever he wants to do, whenever he wants to do it. That's really dangerous, because he can choose to do a berserker rush attack where he chains lefts and rights. That's what kills you really quickly. So we want to get him out of that phase as quick as possible. When he gets to really low HP as well, his last phase is an automatic berserker rush, where he doesn't stop that until you are dead. So the objective of this is to damage race him as quick as possible, and by the time he's in his desperation phase, we'll just be able to damage race him and land some accurate hits. So I'm really going to shut up and focus on this. This is difficult and this is very dangerous. This is like a minute time loss if I mess this up. Okay, he's turtling. That's low risk at least, but oh, okay, never mind. We can just kill him straight up, I guess that works as well. That's one of the weirdest mech fights I've had, but it works, I guess. Like, he was definitely stuck turtling, but then he just suddenly charged me. I think he was... I'd like to see what his health was there. I think he was, like, right between the boundary of, like, the second phase and the third phase. That was really odd. But, alright, whatever. Final stage. And this is one opportunity where we get to see some of the... I mean, it's not really 3D graphics, but those missiles look nice, am I right? Like, I don't think I'm wrong. Those missiles look pretty nice for SNES graphics. Like, it's some really nice rendering, honestly. And you don't really get to see that much of that in this game, so I like this section, even though this section is extremely dangerous. If these, like, contact you or crush you in any way, aside from how they're pushing me like that, it's an instant death, just like the spike ceiling in Stage 5. So we take a specific method to just get pushed along and take those in a specific number of cycles. It is possible to, like, save a missile cycle there with some, like, really task movement, but I've only managed it once with save states and slowdown. So I think the probability of doing that in an RTA run is probably close to 0, especially since this is the final stage in a run, and you are looking at doing something insanely difficult like that whilst, you know, immediately dying if you get any part of it wrong, and it's almost impossible to get even in task conditions. It's like, I'm not going to do that. Also, this is a mini-boss, so we've got the core here. These blue crystals have 26 HP each. These yellow rings, I don't know how much they have, but all I know is I like to use them to damage boost. And again, we are taking damage very frequently by using the rolling attack, so that we can just keep infinitely rolling on the crystals, take them out really quickly. That was actually a really quick mini-boss fight, so yeah. You ideally want to damage boost on the yellow rings if you can help it, because they deal half the damage that the blue crystals do. So grabbing all of the health pickups here, going to try and maintain max health to go into the final boss. Final boss I'm going to take as risky as possible, because why the hell not? I've just got to get up this corridor, get past a couple more enemies. That's not good. Alright, I'm not going to damage race the boss anymore. I'm actually going to take it quote-unquote safe, because I don't have as much health as I need now. Whoops. So, this guy has a lot of random attacks. Some of them are easy to avoid, some of them are not very easy to avoid. Time is when the boss explodes, but if we die at the same time, it doesn't count, and you have to start the fight over. So let's just see how this goes. Time. That was like 1909 or something. I forgot to stop my own timer. Oh no, it's broken! My timer is broken. But it was like 1909 or something. That was a really good run. Like, I'm not gonna lie. When I mention about, like, oh, I haven't played this game in months, like, I'm not joking. Like, I seriously haven't played this game in, like, I don't know how long. But that's one of the better marathon runs I've done. And it was actually pretty close to my PB, which is a high 18. It's like 18:56 or something. So, wow. That was... Yeah, I actually don't mind that run at all. So, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this run. Oh, it's coming up. Let's see what I did get. Oh, it was 1908. Even better. Alright, cool. Yeah, that was a very nice run. What have we got next? Come on, I know I had the schedule before. There we go. Schedule for SNES Super Stars. Nextington, we have... Oh, I need to go way further down than that. Oh, now we've got Link to the Past. Oh, that guy did me dirty. I was here before my run, alright? I heard him go over my game. That's... Oh. Unforgivable. Unforgivable. Said Link to the Past was next, and it wasn't. Just, no, alright? No, not allowed. Anyway, I hope everyone enjoyed, and I will depart, let you guys get set up for Link to the Past. Great game. Please do stick around for it, and I will see you guys later. I should probably hang out in chat for a bit, shouldn't I? So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Thanks very much for supporting, and please run this game if you feel like it. It is very, very high octane and exciting.